Hey, friends, and welcome to the Kitchen Table Series, episode 128. I'm your host, Carol Roper, and I believe every woman can make a difference for good and for God in their homes and their communities. But in a culture whose moral compass is upside down, it can be confusing to know what lines up with biblical truth. Through this series, my desire is that these short episodes will equip you with a practical blueprint that will inspire and encourage you to rise up, bless your families, and those in your sphere of influence. Several years back, when I was still drawing house plans, a major oversight in my design was pointed out to me by my client. "Where's the laundry room?" she said. "You left out the laundry room." My face flushed as I realized my client was right. This design was for a couple who wanted a unique floor plan that required a little more creativity than usual. But after many hours of work, I finally had a plan I knew they'd love. After revealing the design, I waited for the accolades. Instead, I heard one major criticism. In 27 years of designing houses, I'd never once left out a laundry room. How on earth could I forget about a room where I spend major chunks of my day? Needless to say, it was back to the drawing board, literally. Eventually, we did land on a great design that included a very nice laundry room with a sink and a laundry chute. And I haven't omitted a laundry room since, you'll be glad to know. I don't know about you, but in my home, the laundry room is considered one of the most important rooms. It's command central. When my kids were still at home, it was also a disaster on most days. Oh, it might be clean for a few brief hours, but then when everyone started slinging off boots and muddy clothes, you'd never know I'd even darkened the door that day. To make matters worse, when my son Jacob started working with my husband installing water and sewer lines for the summer, that meant I had two men jumping in and out of ditches and doing anything else required that usually involves as much dirt and grime as a guy can get into. Oh, joy. I remember one week in years past that was particularly brutal for my washer and dryer. John, my husband, thought it would be a great idea to plant wheat. Since I'd never experienced having my husband work in a combine all day harvesting wheat, I was blissfully unaware of the coming avalanche of work clothes that would be added to my daily pile. 5 showers. That's how many showers John took in just one day while harvesting wheat. Every time I turned around, there was a mountain of greasy, dusty, wheat-covered clothes lying on the floor in front of the laundry room door. How could one man be so picky about cleanliness when he worked in sewers most days? Jacob tried to ease my frustration by explaining that since the air conditioner had broken in the combine, the doors had to be left open while he cut. This, coupled with the fact that it was 90 degrees and John was sweating profusely, caused the wheat to be drawn to him like a magnet and almost blocked his vision of the approaching field. Okay, I got that. But it didn't ease my washing machine's groan or mine as it reached its maximum capacity. Thankfully, John's wheat harvesting adventure lasted only a few days. I don't recall ever seeing my man so dirty, exhausted, and happy all at the same time. He was in farmer's heaven, beaming a smile through all that grime. When I saw how delighted he was with his work, I couldn't be upset with him. God gave him a desire to work the land, so who was I to complain about a little, or a lot, of laundry? While I was drawing up the plans for the home we live in now, I realized I could add a laundry chute in my daughter's upstairs closet so the kids could directly deposit their dirty clothes into a basket in the laundry room below. I was thrilled thinking of how much more organized my house would be with this feature. And it was an asset for the most part. But there were times I questioned that decision, especially when the kids would go days without dropping their clothes down or I hadn't had a chance to catch up on laundry. I remember many times when they were in high school and college that I'd open the closet door to the laundry chute and find a pile teetering above my head. Since my husband's work clothes are in a separate hamper beneath the shelf holding the laundry basket, I was greeted with a literal wall of dirty clothes. It took all the strength I could muster to get in there and start shoveling clothes into piles. Some days, though, I just didn't have the strength. So I'd shove the door closed, hoping to find motivation to face it again later. I know what you're probably thinking, and you're right. Why didn't the kids help with the laundry? They were they were responsible for getting it to the laundry room and back up to their rooms, but I was such a control freak about the possibility of them ruining their clothes, or more importantly, mine, that I decided the laundry and my way of organizing everything that entailed was something only I could do. I know I've shared this before that I'm an oldest type A recovering perfectionist. Well, that almost led to my undoing at times. I should have started when they were little, teaching them how to do it right so I would eventually be able to trust them to take responsibility when they became older. It's too late for me now, but for all of you mamas out there with littles, take my advice and teach them young so they can help carry that load when they're older. I'm ashamed to say that my children's spouses are the ones who taught them how to do laundry. I do still take care of my husband's clothes, though. I'm usually better able to keep up with his now that the kids have moved out. After almost 40 years of marriage, he's finally managed to at least get most of his clothes to the laundry room, and some even make it into the hamper. I've learned to be grateful for small blessings, but I wash, dry, fold, and put them away. He does really work hard for us, and I want him to know how much I appreciate that. Plus, if I don't do it, I'm sure it won't get done. Many days, the frustration of picking up clothes, blankets, cups, shoes, the list could go on infinitely, is overwhelming, especially when my kids were still at home. I'd get mad and start to spew at my family, wanting to ask the question my mom used to ask us in jest, mostly. What'd your last maid die of? Overwork and underpay? I always laughed at that question, but now I can appreciate the significance of it. That's sure what it feels like sometimes. And I do still feel that way, even in our empty nest years. John doesn't see the clutter and the mess the same way that I do. But then I remember something Lisa Turkhurst wrote years ago. She was complaining under her breath about her family's lack of desire for picking up after themselves, until she had a profound thought. The feet that held the scattered shoes, the hands that held the cups sprinkled about, and the wads of blankets that snuggled the bodies belonged to the people she loved most in this world. The evidence of life in her home was a blessing, not a curse. Ephesians 6:6 says, "Serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not men." Sometimes life gets overwhelming. We can't see the forest for the trees or our sweet family over their messy habits. Instead of calmly looking over the situation and realizing it's not as bad as it seems, we immediately jump to the conclusion that they're being messy on purpose. But many times, all we have to do is ask calmly for help, and they might be happy to pitch in. We must be intentional about keeping resentment out of our hearts. Let's be intentional in thinking the best of those we love. Ephesians 4:31 through 32 says, "Let all bitterness, anger, and wrath, clamor, and slander be put away from you, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you." Being a wife and mother can be hard. Some days are much harder than others. Satan wants us to focus only on the circumstances directly in front of us and not see the good God has placed in our lives. He wants to steal our joy and mar our witness, and unfortunately, many days he succeeds. I can't say I love the mud clopped through my kitchen or the dishes strewn about, but I do love the people who leave the mess. Yes, thankfully, the kids and their families visit often. I love them so much it hurts sometimes, and I can't imagine my life without them. As the words in a Martina McBride song declare, I have been blessed, truly and immeasurably more than I could have asked or imagined. So if your family is getting on your last nerve lately, stop and remember the blessing they've been to you. As I look at little handprints on my glass doors and crumbs on the floor from my grandchildren, I'm so grateful for the gift they are to me and my husband. If you're about to lose it, stop and ask God to give you a grateful heart. And don't forget to thank Him for the gift of your family. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. You are doing the most important job, being the hands and feet of Jesus to those He's given to you. I'd love to know if you're enjoying these solo episodes and would appreciate your feedback. And if you'd like my baked spaghetti recipe that I talked about in my first kitchen table episode, go to carolroper.org/podcast and click on this episode to receive the link to download the recipe. It's so good, Guidepost Magazine published it. I'd also love for you to become a member of our free Building Strong Homes Facebook community, where I have extra content. I'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. Remember, don't give up, don't give in, and keep building strong, y'all, even through the mess. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you at the kitchen table in 2 weeks for the final episode before summer break.